had his coffee by a certain amount of time. It's very productive, very, like, even like the thumbnails and everything, he just knocked out like 2 thumbnails, like right there, the titles, everything, stuff.
You definitely need to learn that.
Yeah.
Kevin's so in the middle. He sees all sides. He's not. I was like, I'm pretty bearish, and we talk a lot about like macro different things a lot, but
people that were already doing what I wanted to do, and I built relationships. This is the same thing that I'm doing as I transition more to like an influencer type of educator. Now, like.
I run a YouTube channel, and I mentioned that we're raising money, and people said it's phenomenal. It makes it easy. Yeah.
So you have kind of an equity in your company, sort of thing.
Exactly.
That
Yeah.
works?
So I'm also a financial advisor, real estate broker, but we're not going to do our own transactions. We want to work with realtors. Now we're in recon mode.
Okay.
And yeah, that's why we're here. Okay.
Yeah,
okay,
rental
great.
demand's pretty strong.
Yeah, we're big fan of liquidity.
We're visiting, we're watching, seeing what kind of questions he asks.
Questions Kevin asked.
Yeah.
How he looked at it. I also invest in house hacks, so this is really interesting to
Okay,
me
so
to
you
see
see where your
that
money's going.
process. Yeah.
He's doing his due diligence.
I'm doing my due
Perfect.
diligence too.
Smart fellow.
So funny. So seeing is believing. So whenever I see like Meet Kevin, the way that he's operating, the way that he pulled out the map, I'm just thinking like how genius it is to be able to produce content. Not only that, it's very educational. So like when that real estate agent was educating Kevin on the areas, he pulled out the map and the videographer was recording the explanation of the map. So like if you're watching Meet Kevin's videos, not only are you not only are they entertaining, but you're also being educated because a real estate agent's telling them, oh, like, look, these areas perform better than others. So if you continue to watch Meet Kevin's videos, you're gonna get to know like most of the country based on the tours that he's doing. So it's brilliant. Like this is awesome. Yeah, it's amazing. Not only that, but like the relationship, like building a relationship with somebody. What I like about Meet Kevin is that he's in my market. Like literally, he's like less than 10 minutes away. So for me to find another influencer, which is large of a following as Meet Kevin, that is in the financial real estate industry, that close proximity, it's amazing. So I think that this is going to be really, really helpful, and this is only the beginning, baby. I would do. Let's walk around the property. I'll tell you what I would do to fix this property up and how big of a difference this can make. So like, for example, like you notice how here it's got the ceiling right here, and then it doesn't. So it's great. Right here, the baseboard. So if they're saying that this is a flip potential property, so I'd remove this right when you enter the mirror. I'd replace all the flooring. Like if you're looking for like a less expensive renovation, if you steam cleaned everything, like it would basically make the flooring look completely different. But if you're gonna flip it, more than likely brand new, some type of laminate flooring, you'd be surprised how big of a difference like new flooring can do, or even the steam clean. Like so a lot of this, like if you look at the grout, it's really dark, but this is more of the original color of the grout. So if you see that right there, that's more of how the original color of the grout looked like versus this. So they have like these power steam tile cleaning machines that once you clean it, it looks completely different. But if I was gonna flip it, I'd probably just change out the entire flooring. You'll also notice that like the baseboard is really small. A lot of times when you make the baseboard like larger, it gives it a completely different feel. You can either paint the beams or get rid of the beams. Definitely get rid of the acoustic ceiling. This feels kind of low, and it makes the house feel smaller when it's low, depending on what's in here. But it doesn't sound like there's anything in there. What a lot of flippers will do is they'll raise this up, basically. The other thing that you can do here is you can basically paint this a completely different color, maybe like a black, maybe get rid of these items, and it's gonna give it like a completely different pop. So if you change the environment,
Do you get a lot of
The additions, I personally generally hate additions. Not that it matters because I could just yoink this out. Yeah. But it is complicated. Okay,
All season?
my rooms. Yeah.
Four seasons. That's
Four
what I like.
seasons.
I think in Washington they call it four seasons. That makes the most sense.
Yeah. Pools, necessary, not really for rentals, 50-50.
It's up to you if you want to pay. I would recommend paying a guy to come in and maintain it.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you want that extra headache necessarily. It
Are
doesn't
you getting
have
it
to-
rent?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you'll make it up. I don't know if it necessarily adds more to your bottom line. Though.
Yeah, probably.
I don't think. I mean, there's a lot of pools here in Arizona. I think it's some 60% or something.
Oh yeah, when you fly over, it's just like.
Yeah.
600.
So the other thing is that sometimes, like, whenever you're flipping a property, like opening up the floor plan can make a big difference. So sometimes people get rid of these walls to make it a little bit more open. Like if you notice here, right when you walk in, there is closet space here. There is a pantry here. And then there's a closet on the other side. So a lot of this is basically storage space, basically for the kitchen. But sometimes people get rid of this to make it more spacious from the beginning. Or sometimes they even get rid of that wall completely to basically open up the floor plan, basically, so that when you walk into the property, so like let's say I'm a buyer and I walk into the property and my first impression is just this empty wall. Sometimes if you open up the floor plan and as soon as you walk into the home, you've got like a beautiful kitchen. Now it gives you a much better first impression than just a wall right there. So if there's any way structurally to remove this, to make it so that when you walk in, you're able to see more of the living area, it basically opens it up completely. Basically. So that might be something that sometimes what people do is they'll repaint the kitchen cabinets and then they'll put new cupboards depending on what type of renovation that you're doing. Probably the best thing to do in this case would probably just be to renovate the kitchen completely, change the countertops. But if you wanted to go for like a very like inexpensive, sometimes people just paint, add new countertops, add an electric stove right here, and then basically change a lot of the fixtures. Once again, if this was higher, you see that this gap is right here, like you see right here. Remember how I was saying that sometimes people raise this up? There's nothing really there, so this is kind of like almost like dead space. But if you're gonna take this higher, it's gonna make it feel more spacious. You're more than likely gonna have to change the kitchen cabinets and you're not gonna be able to repaint them. It would be too much of a hassle to move them up, basically. But if you open this up right here, you can put can lightings everywhere, basically. So it'll make it look really, really nice. This is kind of neat. So there's a bedroom right off the side. In California, there's a law called the ADU law where you can basically convert a portion of the house into livable, rentable space legally. So if this property was in California, you might be able to convert this area into like a little mini studio because it already has its bathroom as well here too. So you might be able to maybe like add a kitchen along this area and now it's like basically a legal rentable studio. I don't think that you can do that here in Arizona, but in other parts of the country like California, you actually can do that.
So what's Meet Kevin doing right now? Is he negotiating? Is he?
No, so
he's
Meet Kevin's just basically getting to know the area. So he's basically getting information from the real estate agent as to prices in the neighborhood, what rents are in the neighborhood, what are the most expensive areas in a neighborhood, what do rents go for, and basically just understanding the marketplace. But like you can understand a marketplace virtually or in person. What he's doing is he's basically coming out, touching, feeling, getting to know the neighborhoods in real person as opposed to over the computer. So like even like things to pay attention to whenever you're buying a property like this is how many cars sit in the neighborhood. Meaning like if there's a lot of cars in the neighborhood parked outside, it usually means that per household there's a lot more people living in the property, which means higher density, which in some cases means higher crime rate. So like when I walked into the neighborhood, I noticed that there was rarely any cars in the neighborhood, which typically means it's a better neighborhood. So if you're shopping for a property and you walk up and you see like 10 cars there, that might not be a good sign. It might be people living in the garage, 2-3 people per bedroom. And if you notice a pattern like that, it might even mean that it's more of a rental type of market versus an owner-occupied type of market. So might be good for a rental, but maybe not if you want to live there.
On to the next one.
Fixed up, right?
Fixed up. Nice.
Yeah, so this one's about 600 square feet more, but still, I understand what you're saying. On the
there was
market.
also another 3 too.
No, I believe you. Let me look at the stones
Yeah.
really quick. I mean, condition-wise, when you walk in and it smells like water and you got sinkholes in the back and the condition it's in, I mean, they've done some remodeling in some of the bathrooms, takes away some of the joy. But yeah, I mean, it's, I don't know, it's probably like a 4. It's not that great. Yeah, because it feels a little like beat up. Like, it's interesting. Some of them are like, you know, they tried really hard on like the plumbing and the electrical, but then they just beat up the cosmetics. And sometimes you have houses that just beat up everything. And so like the type of owner I feel like who would do sinkhole pool fill-in is a different kind of owner. I'm just talking about how sometimes you'll find fixer-uppers where it's like grandma spent all the money on the new roof, the electrical, the plumbing, but it just, you know, it's got the shag carpet, maybe there's some mold and it's dated or whatever, and there's some hoarding or whatever. Then you have investors who own the property who cut every corner they could. Usually I try not to buy those properties because the stuff you find behind everything is like, here we go again. You know? Anyway, it's just an anecdote. All right, let's go to the next one.
So like for the viewers out there, like if you check out that house right there, that's actually the same exact model as this house. Except that house is completely rehabbed and this one is not. So it's the exact same model. So if you want to see like, okay, what could that one potentially look like? Just literally look across the street and you'll find that available in different neighborhoods. So if you go through different neighborhoods, you're like, oh man, that's really a fixer-upper, I can't see the potential. Look at other properties that are the same exact model and you'll be able to be like, oh, well, that's what it could look like. So sometimes if I'm buying a property to flip, I'll be like, okay, how many times have the same model sold, and can you get ideas as to how to rearrange the floor plan? So whenever I was talking about rearranging the kitchen and opening it up, I would look for the same model in the neighborhood for previous sales, doesn't matter 5-10 years, and I would see how people have reorganized the floor plan to see if anybody has already done that. That way it gives me more certainty that it is possible as well too.
On to the next one.
Yeah.
The smell, the broken water lines, like holes in the wall. Yeah, exactly.
Like a mile or 2 from the ocean.
Yep.
So
Yep. That is an interesting thing. Once we start getting
homes have like a little bit of a funky smell. Sometimes it smells like somebody.
busy, so phone calls, referrals, obviously, because if you've been doing it for 10 years or whatever, it's like a snowball that just keeps going.